question and answer portion between this humble representation and Mercado, I even asked Yusek Mercado, saan po binibigay yung envelope? Yung po ay binibigay po sa mismong opisina ng secretary.
Madam Chair, wala na
I'm
sa
not
video
yet,
yan.
I'm not yet finished. Let me finish first. Now, having said that na Madam Chair, ito naman po ay determination lamang tayo ng recital ng facts of the offense charge.
Well, there is still no determination in sufficiency in substance at this point. So it's premature to introduce it now. Pero hindi naman ako nag-object eh. Hindi naman ako nag-object. Dahil actually maganda nga na pinakita natin yung video because it supports my earlier statement. Now, and lastly, yung akin naman, while I know ito, yung hearing natin na ngayon is determination ng form and substance lang. Itong mga tanong ko lang naman at observation is being brought out because I want us to use the same parameters na ginamit natin sa impeachment complaint kay President BBM. Which, andun din ako eh. And we did exactly the same thing. So I just want us to use the same parameters. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right.
So I can still
This
make a
is a separate argument
for ground.
for the second ground. The
Yes,
Honorable
ma'am.
Marcoleta is recognized.
Thank you, my favorite, Madam Chair. Favorite ko na po kayo. Ayan, ang sinasabi sa complaint ay may confidential funds na ginamit. At may money trail hanggang sa paglabas ng pera. But the narrative stops there. Dun sa military men. There is no mention that the money landed on the hands of the Vice President. Walang pinakitang ebidensya na ang mga pondong ito ay ginamit sa illegal na pamamaraan. In fact, the same records mention that operational uses such as payment of safe houses, supplies, and other intelligence-related expenses were incurred. Wala namang binanggit na tinanggap ng Vice Presidente yung pera. Kung ganon, the mere movement or withdrawal of funds cannot automatically establish corruption, plunder, or any impeachable offense. Ang kailangan po ay malinaw na ebidensya ng ginamit na pera ay illegal, ay ginamit sa illegal na pamamaraan. At hindi po ito binanggit sa complaint. At pangalawa po, Madam Chair, the complainants or endorsers of the complaint cannot simply reframe the alleged offense halfway through the process. Kung ang original na teorya ng complaint ay corruption or misuse of funds, hindi pwedeng kapag hindi iyon napatunayan ay bigla na lang itong ililipat sa betrayal of public trust para mag-fit sa anumang ebidensya na available. That would be fundamentally unfair. Hindi pwedeng baguhin ang ground for impeachment depende sa kung anong facts ang lalabas. Sa ganitong sitwasyon, hindi na ito simpleng fishing expedition, parang binabago na mismo ang impeachable offense para lang umangkop sa ebidensya na mayroon ang complainants. At kung papayagan natin iyon, nagiging unpredictable at arbitrary ang standard ng impeachment which undermines the integrity of this process. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Comment from the endorser.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Betrayal of public trust is the ground. Betrayal of public trust, as mentioned earlier, encompasses the other grounds from the culpable violation of the Constitution up to other high crimes and even bribery and graft and corruption. So the Constitution is clear. It is a ground. So whether or not connected ito dun sa other impeachable offenses as alleged, it can stay on its own. It can stand on its own as a specific ground. So either encompassing the others or on its own. And for as long as the alleged facts really depict betrayal of public trust, then that is an impeachable offense. Yung katulad pong, doon naman po sa unang mga sinasabi na the charge should be proved later. But that is evidentiary already, not at this stage of determination of sufficiency in substance. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our deliberation on the second round.
Madam Chair, 1 point.
This is my second attempt to
Sorry, but just 1 point.
shift to the third
very
round.
short lang po.
With the indulgence of the members, this will be the last justice member we will be recognizing on the second ground. You may proceed, Honorable Ridon.
Well, in the last two grounds, paulit-ulit po binabanggit yung wala daw pong personal benefit, no? Si Vice President Sara Duterte. That is something that will be shown at a future time. But again, to be clear, sa totoo lang, di naman ho kailangan ng personal benefit sa malversation. In fact, marami pong mga nasasakdal ngayon sa Sandigan Bayan. All they did was basically just sign into the disbursement vouchers, sign into the bidding documents. Nakapila ho sila doon ngayon, nakapiit ho sila sa mga kaso on malversation kahit sinasabi na wala ho silang personal benefit. So to insist na kailangan po ng personal benefit on impeachable offenses, parang mali po ata yun, Madam Chair. So again, to be clear, hindi ho required ang personal benefit sa malversation. Yung mere po na pagkakamali or maling paggamit ng pondo po na inilaan ay magka-constitute na po agad ng malversation, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, just a reply because we have to consider the elements of malversation.
The chair already pronounced that Honorable Ridon will be the last justice member to be recognized on the
Just to
second
clarify so that we
ground.
don't confuse people. Personal benefit is an
Kindly
element
reserve
of
your
malversation.
manifestations for the succeeding grounds. Order, please.
Okay.
Now we proceed to the third ground. The chair will read, Vice President Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed public trust by corrupting and bribing officials of the Department of Education. Let us now hear the manifestation of the endorser. Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, the third ground is largely based on the statement of facts in relation to Vice President Sara's corruption and bribery of DepEd employees, which is covered by paragraphs 92 to 98, pages 34 to 40 of the complaint. Ang sinasabi po essentially, so ipapakita uli sa screen yung mga specific factual allegations in the complaint. But just to sort of sum it up, ito po ang kwento under this ground. Ito po yung allegation under this ground. Noong September 25, 2024, tumestigo sa Kamara si former DepEd Undersecretary and Head of Procuring Entity, Gloria Humamil Mercado. That's paragraph 92. Ayon sa kanya, mula February hanggang September 23, nakatanggap siya ng 9 na sobre na may label na Hope, bawat isa ay may lamang 50,000. Karamihan umano ay personal binigay ni Assistant Secretary Sunshine Fajardo na nagsabing ang mga sobre ay direkta umanong nagmula kay VP Sara. Paragraph 93. Noong October 17, 2024, tumestigo rin si DepEd Director 4 at Back Chair Resty Osias na nakatanggap din siya ng 4 na sobre sa pagitan ng April at 4th quarter ng 2023. Bawat isa ay may lamang 12,000 hanggang 15,000 at dumaan din kay Fajarda. Paragraphs 95 to 96. Parehong pamamaraan o parehong modus. Noong November 5, 2024, tumestigo naman si DepEd Chief Accountant Runa Catalan na nakatanggap siya ng 9 na sobre na may tig 25,000 mula February hanggang December 2023 at tulad ng iba, idinaan kay Fajardo. That's paragraph 97. Ang pattern po dito, regular envelopes of cash, allegedly originating from the Vice President coursed through a subordinate official. The complaint alleges, Madam Chair, if admitted as true, parte lang po ng mga allegations na yan under ground 3. I just chose the more important allegations. Madam Chair, if admitted as true, these allegations constitute bribery and corruption, which are expressly impeachable offenses under the Constitution. And ang nakasabi rin sa ground, is a third ground, it constitutes the constitutional offenses of culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, graft and corruption, and bribery. Yung mga acts na yon, ng pagbigay at pag-deliver ng mga envelopes to certain disbursing officers, special disbursing officers of the office ay bribery and corruption. Bakit naman po culpable violation of the Constitution? The constitutional oath requires faithful execution of the laws. Kung inaakusahang nanuhol sa kanyang mga tao ang isang cabinet-level official upang mapilitan silang baluktutin ang mga patakaran ng procurement o lumagda sa mga peking liquidation reports, hindi ito simpleng paglabag lamang sa isang batas, isa itong tahasang paglabag sa tamang proseso ng pamamahala ng pondo ng bayan. It reflects conscious and willful disregard of constitutional accountability. Para po sa akin, that satisfies the standard for culpable violation, a willful and knowing breach of constitutional duty. Bakit naman po betrayal of public trust? Kung ang panunuhol ay para maimpluwensyahan ang mga desisyon sa procurement at liquidation at ipagpapalagay na ito ay totoo, ang ganitong gawain ay sumisira sa integridad ng mga transaksyon ng pamahalaan, kumukompromiso sa mga internal control mechanisms, pagsusulong ng pansarili o pampulitikang interes bago ang integridad ng institusyon. That is the very essence of betrayal of public trust. At bakit naman po corruption and bribery? Malinaw po ito. The Constitution explicitly lists bribery, graft, and corruption as impeachable offenses, as grounds for impeachment. Sa ilalim ng Articles 210 at 211 ng Revised Penal Code at ng Republic Act No. 3019, the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, sa pinakasimpleng paliwanag, ang bribery o panunuhol ay nagaganap kapag ang isang opisyal ng gobyerno ay nagbibigay, nag-aalok, o nagpapadaan ng anumang regalo o benepisyo upang maimpluwensyahan ang isang opisyal na aksyon. That is in relation to the specific acts here. Samantala, sa ilalim ng Section 3, Paragraph A ng RA 3019, may parusa sa sinumang mag-udyok o mang-impluwensya sa ibang opisyal upang gumawa ng mga gawaing labag sa mga alintuntunin na may kaugnayan sa kanilang tungkulin. I submit, Madam Chair, the complaint pleads specific ultimate facts as to ground number 3. Hindi basta-basta ang mga paratang dito. Tinutukoy mismo ng mga ito kung letter A, paano binigay yung mga sobre na may lamang cash. So yun ang pagbigay, sobre na may lamang cash. B, sino ang tumanggap? Matataas na opisyal. C, magkano ang tinanggap? Mula 12,000 hanggang 50,000 each. D, para saan ibinigay? Upang maimpluwensyahan ang procurement at liquidation. Ano ang ugnayan ng pera sa mga opisyal? Tinutukoy po mismo kung ano ang ugnayan ng pera sa mga opisyal na gawain. Kung totoo ang mga alegasyong ito, malinaw nung tumutugma ang mga ito sa mga legal na elemento ng bribery at corruption. Pagbibigay ng pera, may kinalaman sa opisyal na tungkulin, may layuning impluwensyahan ang opisyal na aksyon. At this threshold, that is sufficient. I so submit, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Now we will hear the comments and manifestations of the members on the second ground of the third impeachment complaint.
Third.
The Honorable Rodriguez,
It's now
third ground.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Third ground of the third impeachment complaint.
So
To
once
be clear.
again, Madam Chair, under ground 3,
the Committee of Justice acting as an impeachment prosecution is devoid of jurisdiction. The actuations of former Secretary Sara Duterte of the Department of Education is not within the jurisdiction and realm of an impeachment prosecution committee. Therefore, in this very, very clear case, there is allegation of culpable violation of the Constitution, and, this is not a ground for a Secretary of Education. These are grounds for the Vice President. Then, corruption, Republic Act 3019. It is a ground for the Vice President. It is a ground for filing in the Ombudsman under Section 3A or E of the Republic Act 3019, the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. Then, bribing officials. Madam Chair, this will fall under Article 210 on direct bribery of the revised penal code, again, cognizable not by this committee, but also in the Ombudsman if they are minded to file this against the former Secretary of Education. Therefore, there is no substance, but it is devoid of jurisdiction of this honorable committee. I submit, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So for the guidance of the justice members, it appears that there is a similarity of argument of the Honorable Rodriguez with respect to the second and the third ground. That is of the third impeachment complaint. The Honorable Chua.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also again, Madam Chair, I submit that my manifestation in the second ground is also the same in the third ground. Considering that what we are talking here is the Vice President in her capacity as Secretary of DepEd. Again, I would like to quote Section 3, Article 7 of the 1987 Constitution, second paragraph, which provides that the Vice President may be appointed as a member of the Cabinet. Such appointment requires no confirmation. Again, the position of Secretary of DepEd is concurrent to her position as Vice President, and that is the only position, or that is the only Cabinet Secretary who needs no confirmation from the Commission on Appointment. And therefore, Madam Chair, I would like to submit again na imposible po talaga na paghiwalayin itong dalawa. Otherwise, baka po may mga abuso po sa ganitong logic at sampahan po hindi lang po ang ating Vice Presidente. Yung mga susunod pa pong Vice Presidente na ayaw pong nilang isubject sa impeachment, sa tamang proseso, idadaan nila sa shortcut, kakasuhan sa Ombudsman at lalabasan ng warrant at siya po ay poposasan, hindi po bilang Vice Presidente, kung hindi bilang miyembro ng kabinete. Again, thank you po.
Honorable
Madam Chair.
Chua, would you like to raise a motion for the adoption of our discussion in the second ground for the purpose of our deliberation
Yes, Madam
of the
Chair,
third
I
ground?
move that we adopt the discussion insofar as the second ground of the impeachment complaint, third impeachment complaint. So move, Madam Chair.
There is a motion to adopt the discussion in the second ground of the third impeachment complaint for the purpose of our deliberation on the third ground of the same third impeachment complaint. Do I hear a second? The same has been seconded. Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is hereby approved. Would you like to raise new matters in relation to the third ground? Aside from the issue of jurisdiction, because our discussion on the second ground has been adopted already for the purpose of our deliberation of the third ground. For the guidance of the justice members, please make sure that in continuing our deliberation on the third ground, make sure that your manifestation pertains to new matters other than the issue of jurisdiction. The Honorable Suntay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, once again, while the complaint has a narration of movement of funds, again, it is anchored on hearsay. As stated, sinabi, nanggaling daw kay VP Sara. Pero hindi si VP Sara yung nagbigay nung envelope. Pangalawa, the allegations that money were used to manipulate procurement, disbursement, and liquidation process to benefit VP Sara are based on mere conjectures. Bribery is a transactional crime. It involves a public official performing an official act in exchange for a gift or favor. It can be direct or indirect bribery. But nowhere in the complaint did it show any contracts to be influenced, any contractors to be given in exchange for the alleged envelope. So once again, we cannot just conclude that it is to influence procurement or liquidation without any facts. There was also an allegation of a graft under RA 3019 of giving. Now, how is this crime committed? It can be committed by officials acting alone to benefit themselves or others. Common modes include giving unwarranted benefits, entering into disadvantageous contracts, conflict of interest, requesting or receiving gifts. But nowhere in the complaint showed that the Vice President asked or benefited from any of this. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Honorable De Lima, would you like to respond?
Yes, Your Honor. There have been testimonies about the release, the distribution of the envelopes containing cash. And these are given and distributed to those holding procurement-related functions. Now, what is that all about? That is about influencing the decisions of these officials. And that is certainly bribery. That is certainly corruption. Aside from the TSNs, nandyan yung mga video ng mga officers na yon na sinasabi nga na tumanggap sila ng mga envelopes. So there's a matter of proof, but that has been clearly alleged, clearly and sufficiently alleged. Kasi yung sinasabi ng mga video, galing ito sa testimony nila, yung mga admissions ng mga officers na yon ng DepEd. Admissions receiving payola. It can be considered as payola. Admission of Reyna Catalan that he received payments. Ganon din yung admission ni Resty Osias receiving payola payments. Admission of SDO Gina Acosta on the encashment of check for CF. Admission of SDO Edward Fajardo also on the disbursement
Fajarda,
or
Madam Chair.
of the admission, the receipt of check for confidential funds. So ano pa ho ba ang hahanapin natin na mismo doon sa mga taong nakatanggap at yun ang posisyon nila, they are key people doon sa mga disbursements ay sa mga pag-procure ng supposed materials, whatever it is, the needs of the Department of Education. Ano po ba yon? Tama ho ba yon na nagbibigay ng pera sa mga subordinates na hindi naman yun yung mga sweldo nila, hindi naman yun benefits nila, hindi naman bonus yun. That is illegal. Thank you.
Before we proceed, the endorser made mention about videos. Can you please expound what videos you are referring to?
Those are supposedly the ones taken during the appearance of these officials.
And whose
before the
videos are
committee.
this?
From the
The videos of the inquiry conducted
The inquiry.
by The good government.
Yes.
And did
yes.
you include that in your exhibits or attachments of the impeachment complaint?
Not yet, Madam Chair. We
Not
can always ask because these form part.
Who are
of
these
the official
people in the
records.
videos? Just for the record, who are these people in the videos?
What are those? Catalan, Acosta, Mercado.
And just for the record, Honorable De Lima, what are they doing or saying in the video?
Receiving the payola, that they received those envelopes from the Vice President.
Madam Chair, just a reply.
Madam Chair.
It is
Honorable
very clear in the
Sutay,
affidavit.
Is that a reply?
Yes,
All
Madam
right,
Chair.
you're recognized.
The video showed that they received envelopes, but it did not show in exchange for what. So what was being influenced? We cannot just conclude that it is for something. Walang pinagkaiba yan dito. Sometimes envelopes are given, but it doesn't mean we are being bribed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, that is the reply of the Honorable Suntay. Let's hear the rejoinder of the Honorable De Lima.
It's about, these are admissions that they received something, that they received cash. And it cannot be for any lawful purpose or purposes because they are holding those positions. And it's a matter of evidence also. We can always ask them again na ano ba sa tingin nyo yung pagbigay ng mga pera na yan outside of supposedly, because it's not supposed to be part of the function of a head of office to be giving money which do not pertain to the lawful purposes related to the functions of these officers. It's basically a matter of evidence. And the TSNs, these are all part of the records of the hearings.
Madam Chair,
Is this in line with
yes.
the matter raised by the Honorable Suntay?
Yes.
Yes. You're
Yes.
recognized.
Yes, Madam Chair. We are just into the determination of the recital of facts, determination of the substance. Wala pa po tayo dun sa hearing proper. Maybe later on, when the proper hearing comes sa Senate, dun po pwede po lahat yan, yung mga affirmative defense, po pwede pong ilabas. Thank you
All
po,
right, the
Madam Chair.
manifestation is noted. Now it's the turn of the Honorable Lord Ansuan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For clarity and again for purposes of determining sufficiency and substance under our rules, may I request the Honorable Endorser to restate which specific ultimate facts in the third ground directly attribute the alleged acts of bribery and corruption to the respondent, and more importantly, how these acts rise to the constitutional level of culpable violation of the Constitution or betrayal of public trust under Article 11, Section 2.
Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The recital of facts, the ultimate of facts are pleaded, the ultimate facts are pleaded in the complaint itself, referring to those testimonies, the admissions of these officers na tumanggap sila ng mga sobre at karamihan umano ay personal na ibinigay ni Assistant Secretary Sunshine Fajardo na nagsabing ang mga sobre ay direkta umanong nagmula kay VP Sara. That is an act attributable to her. And then even outside of yung tungkol sa pag-prove kung ano yung mga purposes noon, that can be considered as bribery really. It's a bribe to accept cash gifts. This can be considered as cash gifts because it's not clear kung para sa anong purpose ito. It's clear to the it's clear in the admissions of these officers that it has something to do with yung kanilang pag-perform ng functions ng para ma-influence yung mga procurement ng mga bagay, ng mga equipment, ng mga materials sa office, sa Department of Education. And again, DepEd Secretary is concurrent. So, culpable violation of the Constitution. You're not supposed to do that. Public office is a public trust. All public officers are supposed at all times to exercise decency, fidelity, loyalty to the Constitution. Tama ba na gano'n ang ginagawa ng isang head of office na nagbibigay ng mga ganyan na mga monetary matters, monetary things na hindi naman kasama doon sa mga dapat natatanggap ng mga empleyado, ng mga opisyal ng isang department. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other manifestation? If there are no more manifestations, then
Well, actually, Madam
Honorable
Chair,
Ridon?
I think the committee is ready to, has a copy of the committee proceedings then. Maybe we can play it so that we can be refreshed as to the testimonies that had been elicited from, who are these persons again? Mercado et al. Madam Chair.
Catalan,
If it is the pleasure of the endorser, I think the committee has copies of the videos. We can play it for the members to see, Madam Chair.
I understand that the video referred to by the endorser forms part of the hearings conducted by the Good Government Committee. That is during the 19th Congress, no? But I think we
Madam-
should give Paul time to the committee secretariat to be able to prepare the video. Honorable Tino, would you like to say something?
Madam
No?
Chair, is the video part of annex to the complaint? Is it part of the complaint? Was it annexed? Because it cannot be introduced if it was not annexed as part of the complaint.
their testimonies are part of the narration of facts. Now, but although it's not
Is it
shared,
part of the annexed?
not
Was
at
it
this
annexed to the
point.
complaint?
Not at this point.
So,
But that is,
if the endorser is interested to play that video of the committee, then perhaps the chair should hear a motion. Because it seems that everybody is not in agreement about playing that video, aside from the Honorable Suntay. Honorable Suntay, are you opposing the playing of the
No,
video?
actually okay lang sa akin. I just want us to abide by rules because under Rule 3, Section 5 of the impeachment rules, the committee determines sufficiency based on facts alleged in the complaint. And if we are going to show a video which was not part of the complaint filed, then how can we introduce
Well,
it?
according
Yung
to
sa
the
akin lang gusto ko,
endorser,
we just follow the rules.
According
Yun
to
lang.
the endorser, the admissions or the testimonies of the DepEd officials who will be seen in the video or who were in the video were actually part of the allegations of facts.
yes, that is correct, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
The Honorable Tino.
Madam Chair, since nandiyan na rin, mukhang available naman yung mga video at binanggit na kasama ito sa recitation of facts nung pangatlong ground na kinoconsider ngayon, which is bribery. The Vice President bribed certain DepEd officials. And apparently, meron ngang video nung DepEd official, Mercado, na umaamin na tumanggap siya ng bribe. So, baka mas maganda po ay makita na to.
Since the Honorable Suntay is not opposing, it appears that no one is opposing, then we will be suspending for a few minutes just to inquire with the Secretariat if they are ready to present the video. Ready ba kayo? Ready kayo? Tatlo. Yeah. The meeting is resumed. May I confirm from the endorser if she's pertaining to the video of Mercado, Osayas, and Catalan? May we confirm from the endorser, the Honorable De Lima? Mercado, Osayas, and Catalan?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. The purpose of showing this video is to provide guidance to the justice members as we determine the sufficiency in substance of the third impeachment complaint. So it seems that the Secretariat is ready. Kindly play the video of these 3 DepEd officials.
Okay, I understand, ma'am, Yusek, that you have a statement. Meron po kayong statement na sasabihin. You are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I start, I just want to say that this is a very difficult thing to do, and I apologize to my children who didn't like me to join this this session, and also my colleagues who are my friends, but I have to read my statement. My name is Gloria Humamil Mercado, and I have dedicated over 40 years to public service in the government of the Philippines. In my last year with government, I serve as the Undersecretary for Human Resource and Organizational Development of the Department of Education. I was appointed as DepEd Undersecretary by President Marcos, as recommended by Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte in 2022, and I assumed office in August of 2022 and February 2022. In February 2023, I was designated as the head of the procuring entity of DepEd. As one of the signatories of DepEd's checking account, alongside Undersecretary for Finance, Annalyn Sevilla, I signed checks related to all funds, and recall that some of the checks that I signed amounted to 37,500,000 pesos. Between February 2023 to September 2023, I received a total of 9 envelopes labeled Hope, my concurrent position in DepEd during that time. These envelopes were handed to me mostly by Assistant Secretary Sunshine Fajardo, which she says came directly from Vice President Duterte. What she would typically say as she hands the envelope, it would appear that I received this envelope by virtue of my office as Hope. Attorney Fajardo is the wife of Edward Fajardo, who is the Special Disbursement Officer. Although the exact date evades recollection, sometimes during the course of my tenure with DepEd, a member of my staff informed me that an inquiry was made by one of our officers in the field that Mr. Fajardo had made inquiries about the bank accounts of several individuals, and if divulging such information to him was permitted. My office confirmed that it was upon the instruction of the Office of the Secretary. Evidently, it would appear that regional directors and other employees on the field would also receive sums on top of the regular salaries. Sometimes in October 2023, as the likelihood of a bidding failure for DepEd computerization have become apparent, I was approached by Attorney Monsayak, and he suggested in the presence of other officials who was with me that the bidders should just discuss among themselves. Mag-usap-usap na lang para hindi masayang yung pera ng 2023. I firmly asserted that the procurement must be implemented and conducted in strict adherence with the rules. Sometimes on the 3rd or 4th week of October, I was summoned by Zulaika Lopez, the Chief of Staff of the Vice President and Undersecretary of OBP. I was informed that I should tender my resignation effective that day. I refused to resign and I insisted on departing from service through voluntary retirement. The timing of my meeting with Ms. Zulaika struck me as more than coincidental. It gave me the impression that my candid responses was the real reason behind the push to relieve me of my office. It was as if I had become an unwelcome obstacle, despite simply doing my job as Hope and Undersecretary of Human Resources of DepEd. Prior to my meeting with Ms. Zulaika, there were other undersecretaries and assistant secretaries who were summoned also and who were also summoned, all of the same purpose of informing them that they should tender their resignation effective on the same day. I signed my affidavit.
Does the endorser confirm that this is one of the video?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right. Are there any other videos? Because I understand that there are 3 DepEd officials. This is Mercado.
Catalan and Osias.
Do we have videos of Catalan and Osayas?
Yes. Is there? There. Not at the moment.
It will be played.
Yes.
Aside from your allowance, from your regular budget, nakakatanggap po ba kayo ng envelope just like Yusek Mercado and Director Osias from ASEC Paharda?
Yes, sir.
Magkakano?
Minimal amount lang po.
Which is, how much po?
It's not even,
Magkano po?
it's 25,000.
25,000. How many times po?
9
Ilan?
times.
9 times. From what month up to what month? Let me guess, from February to September?
I think so, sir.
So, nung September po, tumigil na.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just like Yusek Mercado. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, thank you po.
So, just kindly state, Madam Endorser, the person in the video, that is? The person in the video, I think that's Miss Catalan.
Catalan, yes, Madam
Because
Chair.
you are the one in the video. Do you recall, Honorable Chua, the position of Miss Catalan?
Yes, Madam Chair.
What is her position in DepEd?
I think she is also connected with the bidding.
Bidding? Bidding
Yes,
process?
bidding. If I'm not mistaken.
All right, so
Madam Chair, she's the chief accountant.
Chief Accountant.
Accountant. Sorry.
Now we will proceed to the last video. I suppose this is Osayas.
Madam Chair.
Tanong lang po, would you also receive envelopes from Ms. Shine Paharda? Parang ikinuwento ni Yusek Mercado, envelope containing cash.
All right, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, no, I must be candid about this. I must say I did, but I didn't know because I was new in the department. I thought it was a practice of the department. I thought, the very first time I encountered that matter, sir, was sometime in April of 2023. I didn't know I was summoned to the office of ASEC Shine, and then I was given an envelope, and it was later on I found out that there was money in it, but it was not because I was a back member or whatever yet, because I was not at that time.
last hearing, sabi ni Yusek Mercado, kung natatandaan ko, 9 envelopes yung natanggap niya amounting to 50,000 each. Sa inyo pong pagkakaalala, hanggang kailan kayo nakatanggap na envelope? Ilan?
It started April. I think it was until September of that year.
Up to September 2023?
Yes, sir. But if I recall it right, I was only summoned about 4 times to the office.
4 times?
Yes.
Up to September 2023?
Yes, sir.
So yung last quarter po, wala na kayo natanggap?
Wala na po.
So in other words, wala kayong envelope na natanggap ng 4th quarter ng 2023. Tama po?
Yes, sir.
Mukhang sumakto Sa panahon na hindi na ginamit ng DepEd yung confidential fund for the last quarter nang pumuputok na issue ng confidential fund. Anyway, Mr. Osias, I think this was also mentioned by the VP in a press conference na magkano po pala yung laman? Magkano po laman ng envelope?
I think it was something like between 12 to 15, sir. Hindi ko na matandaan yung laman talaga.
12 to 15,000.
Very minimal amount, yes, sir.
Attorney Osias admitted that he has received envelopes. I'm not saying it's wrong, no? Can be an appreciation thing or a love gift, whatever it might be. I don't think it's wrong. Pero if that is actually the habit of the secretary to give envelopes to her people, I wonder if only Yusek Mercado or you receive envelope. Perhaps Yusek Mempin should also say something about that, or anybody here among the Tepet family, because as I've said, no, when you receive an envelope, there was no thinking that there's anything wrong with that. Wala kaming inaiisip na masama yan. Just, you're under oath, and just tell us about it, and thank you for telling us that.
Again, so for the record, the videos were shown for the guidance of the justice members in the determination of the sufficiency in substance.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Let us recognize first the endorser before we recognize the justice members.
I just wanted to put on record that Mr. Osias was the former chair of the Bids and Awards Committee.
That is noted, Honorable De Lima. Honorable Suntay?
Yeah, I just also want to put on record that, in fact, the video actually supports my earlier statement. Not kagaya yung binigay kay the first one, Mercado. She allegedly received an envelope, not from the Vice President, but from someone, but she was not asked to do anything. While she was a member of the BAC, in fact, sinabi niya sa statement niya, there was a bidding, magfe-fail yung bidding, and it did not push through. So, ibig sabihin, it was not to influence her because the bidding did not push through dahil magfe-fail bidding nga eh. Secondly, Catalan said she was the chief accountant. Ang testimony niya was, yes, she got an envelope, she was a chief accountant, but she did not say that she was made to doctor any books. Now, Usayas, yung statement niya, he was not even a member of the BAC at the time. Yun yung statement niya. If we could play it again, then it must mean that if there was indeed money being given, envelopes being given, it was given randomly to people, not in exchange for anything. Because the video was very clear. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Chua.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if I remember it correctly, during the question and answer portion between this humble representation and Mercado, I even asked Yusek Mercado, saan po binibigay yung envelope? Yung po ay binibigay po sa mismong opisina ng secretary.
Madam Chair, wala na
I'm
sa
not
video
yet,
yan.
I'm not yet finished. Let me finish first. Now, having said that, Madam Chair, ito naman po ay determination lamang tayo ng recital ng facts of the offense charge. yung pong defense na sinasabi po ni Honorable Bong Sontay, o pwede po yung ilabas pagdating po sa mismong hearing proper sa Senado. But in the meantime, we are at the point of determining the substance. Now, Madam Chair, insofar as the manifestation of Honorable Sontay a while ago that this video are not included in the complaint. However, under our rules, Section 6, Rule 3, it provides that once we determine that there is sufficient in form and substance, we will request the respondent to submit their answer. Tama po ba? And then after 3 days, may reply. At po pwede po sa mga to mag-attach ng mga documentary evidence, additional evidence, in fact, even affidavit and counter affidavit. So we are not limited dito po sa mga naka-attach lamang dito. Ito po, later on, o pwede po yan once mga pleadings na nagpalitan na dito po. But for now, we should first determine if there is sufficiency in substance by just reading the facts if there is an offense charge. Yun lang po,
Madam Chair, short reply lang.
Honorable
Very, very
Sontay.
short. Yes, well, tama yung sinabi ni Rep. Joshua, and I'm happy that he read it from our rules. Ang sinabi niya, once there is a determination of sufficiency in form and substance, we could receive additional proof. Then, there is still no determination in sufficiency in substance at this point. So it's premature to introduce it now. Pero hindi naman ako nag-object eh. Hindi naman ako nag-object. Dahil actually maganda nga na pinakita natin yung video because it supports my earlier statement. Now, and lastly, yung akin naman, while I know ito, yung hearing natin na ngayon is in determination of form and substance lang, itong mga tanong ko lang naman at observation is being brought out because I want us to use the same parameters na ginamit natin sa impeachment complaint kay President BBM. Which, andun din ako eh. And we did exactly the same thing. So I just want us to use the same parameters. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sontay. If there are no other members who wish to manifest on the third ground, do you have additional rejoinder on this, Honorable De Lima, for the third ground?
Just to
Before we shift to the fourth.
Just to emphasize the point that it's a matter, again, of defense. Those points, those arguments put forth by the Honorable Sontay, and talagang sufficiency in substance pa ito. And tama po, sinabi ni Honorable Congressman Chua, that we can still attach additional evidence sa mga pleadings na ipa-file in proper time if there has been a determination already that the complaint is sufficient in substance. Thank you.
We note the manifestation of the Honorable Endorser. That concludes our deliberation on the third ground. Now we are proceeding to the fourth ground. Please allow the chair to read. Vice President Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayed the public trust, and committed high crimes in contracting to murder or assassinate the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker of the House. At this juncture, we shall hear the manifestation of the Honorable Endorser. Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is about the threats of assassination hurled by the Vice President, the second highest official of the land, directed at the President himself, the First Lady, and the House Speaker. Napakalinaw po nitong allegation na ito. Dahil nga po, nakita natin yung pagbigay ng threats na yan to assassinate those three officials or those three personalities. So, it was clearly alleged in the complaint na sa isang media briefing, sa isang viral video, hayagang sinabi ni VP Sara na nakipag-usap siya sa isang assassin at inutusan itong patayin si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the First Lady, and the former Speaker of the House. At sa halip na bawiin ang pahayag, kinumpirma pa niya na nakausap nga niya ang isang taong may kakayahang gawin ang kanyang pagbabanta. Kinumpirma niya yan sa isang media interview. So these are paragraphs 100 and paragraphs 105. The core ultimate fact alleged here, Madam Chair, is that instead of resorting to lawful remedies, she contracted an assassin. The Vice President contracted an assassin to kill the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker, alleging conspiratorial violence against the highest officials of the land. Assuming these allegations are true, and how can that be disputed? There is a video, there are clippings, and there is a video duly authenticated by the NBI, which formed the basis actually of the filing of cases for inciting to sedition. So, klaro po ito na they constitute high crimes and betrayal of public trust of the gravest constitutional magnitude. So bakit culpable violation of the Constitution? Ang pakikipagsabwatan upang ipapatay ang Pangulo, ang unang ginang at ang dating Speaker, ay hindi isang simpleng political rhetoric lang. Kung ipagpapalagay na totoo, ito ay hindi simpleng pagbabanta lamang. This is a willful breach of her duty. That is the very definition of willful constitutional betrayal. Kung sanay sila sa pagbabanta, sa pag-utos o pakikipagsabwatan, sa pagpatay ng tao, hindi ito dapat pinagsasawalang bahala. Dapat itong panagutin sa batas. VP Sara's oath of office is not ceremonial. It is a constitutional commitment to uphold lawful processes, maintain peace and order, and protect the stability of the Republic. At bakit naman po maituturing itong other high crimes? Ang other high crimes ay tumutukoy sa mga gawaing may mabigat na epekto sa maayos na pagpapatakbo ng pamahalaan. Kung totoo ang alegasyon ng sabwatan upang patayin ang mga pinakamataas na opisyal ng bansa, ito ay magdudulot ng kaguluhan sa constitutional succession, panganib sa pambansang seguridad at kawalang katatagan sa pamahalaan. This is perhaps no clearer example of an offense that strikes at the orderly working of government. Even without a criminal conviction, such an allegation, if admitted, squarely falls within the constitutional concept of other high crimes. At bakit naman po betrayal of public trust? Kung totoo na ang respondent ay nais gumamit ng dahas para patahimikin o mapatalsik ang mga leader ng pamahalaan, pagyurak ito sa kaayusang konstitusyonal. This is betrayal of public trust in its most severe form. Hindi na dapat manatili sa posisyon ang ganitong mag-isip. So, the allegations are clear. The evidence is there. The video is available. The video is of public knowledge. The fact of that threat of assassination has reached the level or the status of notoriety na maraming nakakita. Tayo, nakita natin yung video na yan, lantaran na nagbanta against the President, the First Lady, and the House Speaker. So malakas po ito, former House Speaker, malakas po itong ground na ito. And I suppose the video is ready to play.
All right, so since our endorser is mentioning about the video, with the indulgence of the members, we will be suspending for the Secretariat to prepare for the presentation of the video. The meeting is resumed. The Secretariat is directed to play the video.
Sa security ko kasi may kinausap na ako na tao. Sinabi ko sa kanya, kapag pinatay ako, patayin mo si BBM, si Lisa Caraneta, at si Martin Romualdez. No joke. No joke. Nagdilin na ako, ma'am. Pag namatay ako, sabi ko, huwag ka tumigil hanggang hindi mo mapatay sila. And then he said yes. Huwag ka mag-alala, ma'am, sa security ko. Kasi may kinausap na ako na tao. Sinabi ko sa kanya.
So may we request the Honorable Endorser to confirm if that is the same video that she is referring to?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right, so that is for the record. We showed the video for the guidance of the justice members in the determination of sufficiency in substance. Are there members who wish to comment or manifest with respect to the fourth ground of impeachment or in relation to the video just presented?
Madam Chair,
The Honorable Zamora.
we are all familiar with the actuations of the Vice President as seen in that video. That was, in fact, on November 23, 2024, and that took place after the Committee on Good Government had their proceedings, and well, we all knew what happened then. That was a time when Attorney Zulaika was detained. And well, it is incumbent upon us to point out the specific portions of the complaint. The Honorable Laila de Lima already mentioned, but it is clear here under paragraph 100 that the Vice President committed overt acts constituting impeachable offenses. It says here, and as we saw in the video, that on November 23, 2024, in a morning briefing with the media, Vice President Sara stated that she has talked to an assassin and had instructed him to kill President Marcos Jr., the First Lady, and the former Speaker of the House of Representatives. To continue, in paragraph 105, it states here, instead of retracting what she said, Vice President Sara admittedly owned her previous statement. On November 26, 2024, she publicly confirmed that she had indeed talked to a person who could assassinate the President, the First Lady, and the former House of Representatives Speaker. A reporter said, "So, but you already talked to a person?" Vice President Sara said, "Yes. To do that in the event that you are killed?" And Vice President Sara said, "Yes, yes, yes." It is my position that the threats were conditional, is inconsequential, and that the mere act of engaging an assassin, as stated in the complaint, is opposed to her oath, and that the mere act of uttering these statements is already impeachable because at the very least, it amounts to a betrayal of public trust, aside from all of the offenses charged in the impeachment complaint. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Zamora.
Madam Chair.
Honorable Suntay.
Madam Chair, the complaint alleges that the respondent declared that she had arranged for a person to kill the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker if she herself were killed. The complaint alleges a public statement, but it does not allege the existence of an actual agreement to kill. There is not even an overt act in furtherance of such agreement. Any act constituting conspiracy or attempted any act constituting conspiracy or attempted murder. Kasi yung alleged gunman, hindi man lang natin na-present. Now, let's go to the doctrine of free speech. Which guarantees free speech and free press do not permit a state to forbid or prescribe the advocacy of the use of force or of law violation except where such advocacy is directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Advocacy of violence or law breaking is protected unless it is directed at inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to produce such action. That was stated in Salonga versus Cruz Paño, 134 SCRA 438. Now, kung makikita rin natin dun sa statement ni, dun sa video, and I'm glad that it was flashed on screen, which, kasi, in fact, dapat nga hindi because it would be premature. As I mentioned, the video is not part of the complaint, but okay lang na ipakita natin dyan because it brings back yung ano natin, yung pag-aalala sa mga yan. The VP said that she hired someone to kill. If she herself was killed, lo and behold, they are both alive. So ibig sabihin, walang overt action which was done. You know, sometimes when I go home late, my wife always threatens to kill me. Sabi sa akin ng asawa ko, papatayin kita na eh. Umaga ka na naman umuwi. And you know, my wife is the queen of our home, ha? And she is highly respected by everyone in our household. But you know, I am still alive. And my wife only kills me with love. Common sense dictates that if you are really serious in killing someone, you do not announce it to the whole world. Why would you announce that you will kill someone if you really intend to kill someone? Common sense dictates otherwise. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Abante.
With due respect to Congressman Suntay, I do not know if he is lawyering with for the Vice President because I would even think that he is right now defending her. Pero ito you have seen the video. Whether it be that he is joking, that's between her, diba? Thing is this, that amounts to a credible threat against the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker. That is not political noise, just like what he's saying about his wife. What he's saying about his wife is only political noise.
No, but my wife
But
is
that
not a
is not
politician.
political noise, Madam Chair. That is a red flag for national stability and constitutional order. Why? The Vice President is not a private citizen. The wife of Congressman Suntay is a private citizen, but not the Vice President. The office of the Vice President carries access, influence, and security resources. That is why the standard for public trust is higher, not lower. Madam Chair, thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Adjong.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And then Honorable Degamo.
Very, very short manifestation regarding the video. The whole nation was aware of this video, actually, Madam Chair. It came out during a press conference that the Vice President called for when Attorney Zulaika was in detention in the House of Representatives. My take on that, Madam Chair, is you can argue on whether a crime is being consummated or not, because some say that it has not been fully implemented, and so therefore the crime is not committed itself. To me, Madam Chair, I know how a layman would understand that is, it does not take one particular threat to be consummated, meaning to be implemented, for it to constitute a betrayal of public trust. The mere fact, Madam Chair, that it was uttered by a sitting Vice President to threaten a sitting President and claim that she had contracted an assassin to do her bidding is in itself an impeachable act. It's in itself a betrayal of public trust, Madam Chair. So whether or not it was said in jest, whether or not there was an intention, because it's conditional according to some, whether there was not really an intention, except for example that she herself was killed. So that's irrelevant to me, Madam Chair, because the fact that it was said, the threat was said by an official who needs to uphold a high standard of, the demand of her office should be upheld in such a high standard, would to me fall under the category of a betrayal of public trust. That is my humble submission, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, on the issue of the video that just flashed, it's played on the monitor, Madam Chair, Your Honors. Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Honorable Adjong. At this juncture, we recognize the Honorable Degamo.
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to speak from a personal experience. My husband, the late Governor Degamo, before he was murdered. By the way, we will be remembering his 3rd death anniversary tomorrow. That's March 4. He received threats before he was tragically murdered. The threats at first were conditional. Like, if you do this, something will happen. But then, even though they were conditional, the fear and intimidation they caused were very real. Conditional threats can turn into actual harm. Nangyari po yun sa amin. In the same way, when the VP reportedly made statements implying harm to the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker, those statements are serious, even if phrased as conditional. Kasi words from someone in her position carry weight. It can intimidate other officials, it can influence decision, and even undermine public trust. That is why, in impeachment terms, such conditional threats are considered sufficient in substance. It's not just the wording that matters. It's the effect and potential for harm, especially when the speaker holds high office. Just as in my family's experience, conditional threats really must be taken seriously. Gusto ko lang pong idagdag. The legal connection there talks about a threat does not have to be absolute or immediate to be serious. What matters is its potential impact, especially if the speaker holds power. Conditional threats can intimidate or coerce. Even a statement that starts with "if" can pressure officials or institutions to act a certain way. And high office makes it more serious. Maybe words from ordinary people may be limited in effect, but threats from a person who is holding a national leadership post carry far-reaching consequences. Kaya nga po, public office demands higher standards of behavior. Yun yung nire-require sa atin. Dahil if wrongly handled, and I must admit, My husband must have wrongly handled the situation back then that resulted now to his 3rd year anniversary, still waiting for justice to be served. Yan lang po, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Digamo. Next in line is Madam Endorser. Can we finish first the manifestations of the justice members before we go back to you?
Yes, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Chua.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, let me borrow the words of the late Justice Cruz, Justice Isagani Cruz, when he defined impeachment as a method of national inquest into the conduct of public men. Ang ibig sabihin po nito, ang tinitignan po dito ay yung mga taong nasa taas ng lipunan kung paano nila maglabas ng behavior sa publiko. Ang hinuhusgahan po dito sa impeachment ay yung kanila pong conduct. Obviously, napanood po natin, hindi po ito yung conduct na inaasahan po natin sa isang tao na may pangalawa sa pinakamataas na posisyon sa ating lipunan. Yung video po, ang tinatawag po natin, res ipsa loquitur. The video speaks for itself. Hindi na po natin kailangan magpahaba. Hindi po ito usapin ng kriminal para tignan po natin ang elemento ng threat. Ang tinitignan po dito po sa pinakita sa atin, yung conduct ba na pinakita niya ay binetray niya yung public trust? Ito ba yung conduct na inaasahan natin sa isang tao na mataas ang katungkulan sa lipunan? Pag sinagot po ninyo ko na ito po yung conduct, maaari ko pong sabihin na wala nga po talagang substance. That's all, Madam Chair.
Let us be reminded that in various discussions of impeachment process, we try to determine the fitness of the public official to hold public office. That is for the record. Any other member who wish to manifest? You would like to add, Honorable Digamo.
Yes, Madam Chair. And if I may add, etong grounds po na ito, we are not just dealing here with the VP. No? Ang ibig ko pong sabihin, kahit sino po, pwede naman pong ang source of threat is the President. Source of threat could be the Speaker, directed to the VP, the President, directed to the VP. It could be directed to any other public official. Pero yun po yung nakikita natin na hindi talaga dapat binabaliwala para wag naman pong matulad sa amin. So it's not about personalities. It is about the actuations na ginawa at dapat may managot. Thank you po.
Thank you. Next is the Honorable Vice Chair Dumogan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't like to repeat what had already been said, but looking at the allegations in ground number 4, including the video that we had just watched, at this stage of determining sufficiency in form, it has already complied. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dumogan. We will now go back to the endorser of the impeachment complaint, the Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To just be brief, yes, res ipsa loquitur. The video says it all. Res ipsa, the thing speaks for itself. The video itself speaks for what we are alleging as impeachable offenses. no joke, then there's no issue anymore as to whether it was meant to be a joke. Because it's the VP herself who says, no joke, no joke. So wala na pong question dyan. Hindi na po natin kailangan i-prove na yun ay joke because it came from her,
That it is not a joke.
from her own language. It's admission against interest. There is also no such thing as conditional threat. A threat is a threat, irrespective of whether or not there is such a condition, katulad nung binanggit ng VP, na kung mamatay daw siya, it doesn't erase the fact that she made a threat. So, there is no such thing as conditional threat. It's also a non-issue. Now, we saw also the video. It has been widely covered even by foreign media. What other country, or is there any other country where we have seen such an incident of the second highest official of the land, a very high official of the land, making such a very open and public and brazen act of threatening the president and the two others? So, malinaw po itong ground na ito. Isa po ito sa tingin ko ang pinaka malakas na magiging basis ng impeachment. Thank you.
That concludes our deliberation on the fourth impeachment complaint. We shall now proceed to the fifth ground of the third impeachment complaint. Please allow the chair to read. Vice President Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed public trust in amassing unexplained wealth and failing to disclose all her properties and interest in her SALN in violation of Section 17, Article 11 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. We shall now hear the manifestation of the endorser. Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So there are allegations with respect, ultimate facts, essential facts with respect to this fifth ground. Unexplained wealth and failure to disclose all her properties and interests in properties in her SALN. That is under paragraphs 107 to 109. When she served as Vice Mayor and Mayor of Davao City with an estimated annual salary of approximately 2 million, her declared net worth increased from 13,877,469 in 2007 to 44,828,759 in 2017. Paragraph 108. It is further alleged that between 2006 and 2015, she had at least 111 million deposited in various banks in Davao City and Metro Manila, with reports suggesting even higher amounts. So the complaint pleads Section 2 of Republic Act 1379, establishing that property manifestly out of proportion to lawful income is presumed prima facie and lawfully acquired. Under paragraph 286, the complaint cites the case of heirs of Ligot versus Republic, pleading the elements required for the presumption to apply, that the properly manifesting out of proportion, a property or assets that are manifestly out of proportion